The history of education in Jamaica is perhaps best understood in the context of the colonial past. The government of Jamaica began its support for the development of early childhood education, care and development in 1942. In Jamaica, formal education starts at the tender age of 2 years old. The foundation of their education system lies within childhood with what they call basic or infant school. There are 2,595 early childhood institutions. Of these, 183 are not recognized by the government, 401 are daycare centers, approximately 100 are infant schools, and 5 are special education schools which all offered early childhood care. Much of the recent history of education in Jamaica has been driven by the perceived needs to develop homegrown responses to economic, social, and political pressures on the island and in the Caribbean region.
Development of early childhood education in Jamaica over the last 10 years. Early childhood in Jamaica 2009. Up until 2009, early childhood education in Jamaica was relatively low because most of the early childhood centers were privately owned and costly. Statistics have shown that the downfall in education in this country may have been as a result of lack of exposure to early childhood education, causing some 75% of men and 56% of women in the workforce to not have any certificates at any level, according to UNICEF and Dr. Dayton Campbell 2004. In order to combat this, the Roving Caregivers Program started setting up visitation programs aimed at addressing early childhood needs in the children 0 to 3 years in vulnerable families. This program worked significantly well, and by the year 2010, just 1 year later, children in Kingston, metropolitan area, and other urban and also rural communities had equitable opportunities in early childhood. Children in these areas were exposed to stimulating activities for children. 2015 saw Jamaica continuously making strides, and the government of people of Jamaica were well on their way to make a difference in their education system to foster holistic growth and development. This year saw the establishment of the standards for operation of early childhood centers and their programs. Internal audits are carried out to ensure the smooth running of these schools. In 2018, Jamaica is at the forefront for being one of the most developed countries in early childhood development, with their early childhood institution census that is carried out every year to ensure that information of the different institutions are current to ensure proper planning and decision making. It is safe to conclude that Jamaica has made a significant comeback in terms of early childhood development and are well on their way to ensure quality education for all, hence providing for themselves a sustainable future.
Early childhood education and care was not of any significance in the early years, dating as far back as 1834. There was no formal schooling given for children, and as such they were allowed to work in the fields and on plantations. As the year passed, only those who were privileged were exposed to education, while those accepted in free schools were only taught about religion and how to be submissive, according to Ruby King. As the school system began to evolve and expand, pioneers in education began to see the need of early childhood education. In previous years, teachers usually would stand in front of the seated students and give them the information of the content she wants them to learn. Teaching and learning in the early 19th and 20th century were more teacher-centered than student-centered. Psychologist John Dewey's theory of a hands-on approach has changed methods of teaching now being used. He believed that children learn through doing, and in order for learning to take place, children must be in constant interaction with their environment in order to adapt and learn, according to Adam Jordan. His hands-on approach has now placed teachers in the role of being facilitators who guide the students during the learning process than be an instructor. His theory has changed the early childhood so much that students in modern classrooms are now seen working in groups and independently exploring the concepts within the content given by the teacher. Traditionally, students were given written tests Dewey's theory has now changed that to some extent, where students are given projects, presentations, or other methods of being evaluated. Uri Bronfenbrenner focused on how the environment that children are exposed to and interact with impact their development. His theory paved way for both parents and teachers to create safe, secure, and stimulating environment that caters to the overall development of the child in a positive way. Traditionally, children had to adapt to the environment they are given, and not much thought was given with them in mind to create an environment that facilitates how they grow and develop. The 5 environmental systems are now taken into consideration, such as the micro, meso, exo, macro, and chrono system, according to Yolanda Williams. Traditionally, expectations of children's development and outcome was placed heavily on the teacher's shoulders. Now, thanks to Bronfenbrenner's theory, children's growth and development is dependent upon parents and teachers' involvement and the structure of the environment that the children interact. Traditionally, parents were not involved in children's schooling. Since the late 20th and 21st century, Bronfenbrenner's theory has been put into practice, where parents are now seen actively involved by working with class teachers to achieve a common goal that fosters and promotes children's development, such as reading to the child and capitalizing on their interest.
Identify 4 benefits to be derived by parents, the community, and other stakeholders in having early childhood centers in the community. These are the benefits. Number 1, frequent communication with parents in terms of shared educational goal and providing regular reporting and discussion with parents about their child's progress. Number 2, tapping into community resources. The Early Childhood Center will make use of community-based resources such as libraries, telephone support, computer labs, etc. Number 3, build community partnerships. Early childhood education centers can be a principal player in bringing stakeholders together in a community partnership to strengthen the network of support around children as they grow and develop through their early years and into school. Number 4, raise awareness of the importance of early childhood development. In order for Early Childhood Education Center to raise awareness of the importance of early child development and lead actions towards improving outcomes for children. With expertise in child development, the early childhood education sector will be well positioned to generate community momentums towards improving children's developmental outcomes in their local communities.
The Ministry of Education of Barbados has come to realization of the social and economical benefits of early childhood care and education. They have embarked upon a pre-primary expansion program to achieve the goals proposed by UNESCO's Education for All. With this in mind, they have partnered with the Maria Holder Memorial Trust for infrastructure and staff training. Presently, 14 pre-primary schools and 49 nursery units at primary schools have been established, and proposed construction of 2 more schools are underway. The intention is to provide 1,600 spaces for children at the early childhood level. At inception of the program, it was realized that the staff were undertrained. In collaboration with Wheelock College in Boston, all early childhood practitioners are given opportunities for education and training. There have been consistent training of parents and staff in 2017-2018. Presently, 95% of coordinators are trained. There were also changes in the curriculum. The Basic Skills Assessment Battery and Criterion Reference Test are being used to determine the child's developmental status, so that remediation can be provided as necessary before later years education. A thematic approach is also being implemented to ensure the holistic development of the child. The Ministry of Education aims to increase the production and dissemination of materials for efficient teaching and learning within the classroom. In order to achieve education for all, policies in the Caribbean Early Childhood Development Good Practice document is being implemented. There must be early stimulation for children 0 to 3 years old, and the physical environment in daycares and early childhood centers must be conducive to safe learning and developing. Staff must be trained, and parents are being involved in schools' activities.
In conclusion, the early childhood care and education in Jamaica has undergone constant evolution. The foundation of the education system lies within the early childhood program. In early years, early childhood care and education was not of any significance. Pioneers in education began to see the importance of having it, so they started by providing training for teachers and financing for development of early childhood education. With theories such as John Dewey and Uriah Bronfenbrenner, with their theory of hands-on approach and how environment affects children in the classroom, have changed the method of teaching. In Barbados, they have realized the benefits of early childhood care and education to the economy of their country. So many schools were established, training of staff and curriculum and policies were implemented. With all this in mind, the community, parents, and other stakeholders will benefit from having the early childhood institution in the community. This evolution has changed early childhood care and education program drastically over the years.